Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the brand new Chaos Galaxy TCG Sindian planet profile. We got quite a few card reveals today. Sindian's my favorite planet. It's how I started playing the game, as I started out with Sindian. So very exciting. Let's just get right into this. If you don't know about Chaos Galaxy TCG, it's a very cool game. Links down in the description to Zach's channel. He's the creator of the game, as well as a Discord where we discuss the game, play online, and host tournaments and stuff. So there's all that down in the description. Let's just get right into the cards with the first one, which is... Let me find it. Oh, okay. Beast of the Conjurers. Okay, so this is a 260 Sindian creature with 6 stars, and then when it's played, you add any one zone to your planet, and then when it's killed, you can add another zone to your planet. So a couple interesting things about this: it's played and not cosplayed, so you can free play this creature a couple of ways, mainly like Stalius, I suppose. It's probably not going to be super relevant, but it is something to keep in mind. And then adding one zone is pretty good. So usually you're going to play this card. For 6 stars, you'll get a 4-star zone, and then you'll have a 5-star body, 260, which is pretty strong. I would say this card's okay. I don't know if it's... I think it's going to help... I don't know. I wanted to say that it will help Sindian kind of build wider earlier, since a lot of their cards do require 2-card combos. But it's also like quite expensive on its own that it's kind of awkward. I think it is probably fine, and it will see play eventually, because like it serves a solid niche as far as like zone gain cards. I think it's one of the better ones because it has value as a body as well as zone gain. So it's not like you're losing anything; you're just only gaining value. Um, yeah, it seems pretty solid. We'll see how it feels when it actually comes out and we start playing with it. I'm not sure which decks would benefit from it that much. Obviously, Sindian likes having 2 creatures on the board for a couple of combos. Shios maybe like zone gain, but I think they're fine. Um, yeah, it's just kind of hard to see a deck that really needs this because a lot of decks don't really require you to build wide. So we'll see if it sees a lot of play. And if it does see play, then it'll probably be fine. 260 is a really good stat line. It basically means that you can't be killed by 4-star or lower. And so to answer this, your opponent generally, not always, but generally, needs to respond to something equally kind of sized. And 260 is fine. It just attacks over things. It's a very balanced, kind of okay stat line. I think it's pretty solid. Drangle. This card's interesting. It's Drangle support that allows you to shuffle your Drangles, and it also acts as a cheaper version of Drangle. I don't think it's that good still, because Elite Drangle is still like strong when it hits the board, but it's still kind of awkward to play. And then shuffling your Drangle is like not that good. Drangle when it's on the board, like Drangle as far as vanilla creatures go, it's like not very good. Um, so if you're only since you're only able to shuffle back Drangle and not Elite Drangle, I feel like it's not going to actually add that much more gas to your deck, and I don't think that's not. I don't think that's necessarily what the deck needed anyway. The Star Gain's pretty interesting. I don't know. I'm just not super impressed with this card. It has a lot of it's interesting because it has like a lot of effects going on, but I don't think it's gonna be that good. If you're playing a Drangle deck, then you might play it and it'll be fine, probably. But yeah, I'm just not sure. It allows you for cheaper Elite Drangles, but like there are already ways to do that better, probably. So yeah, seems okay as far as Drangle support goes. Lidlod is really interesting. Let's see if we can get a better. Yeah, it's probably fine. Lidlod, it's a great. Basically, when it dies on if it dies on your opponent's turn, then on your next turn you can attach it to one of your creatures. So, and then while it's attached to a creature, if that creature would die from an attack, you can kill Lidlod instead. So this is pretty interesting. It's kind of like a Bulwarder or like Planetary Field type card, where it's kind of like Planetary Field in a way, where you just like get to protect your creature from battle one time. Um, I have a couple issues with it though. I think 2140 is not a very good stat line. 240 doesn't really wall out anything significant. Like a lot of 4-star creatures will just kind of kill this thing, and doesn't really force your opponent to commit to anything bigger for your next turn. Um, and then 20 power obviously doesn't really attack anything, doesn't really kill anything besides Drangle. So you kind of pay 4 stars for a card that doesn't do a lot when it hits the planet, and then and also it's not very threatening, so your opponent can just kind of sit on this and like wall it out and like not worry about it. And then when they do kill it, your next turn you're gonna play a creature and Lidlod will attach to it. And that could be potentially scary, like if you play Lidlod and attack, or you play like Yangelion, you attach Lidlod to it. Um, Now your opponent can't really attack, or your opponent can attack Yangelion, but they need a lot more. Um, they would need like 2 attacks to actually get past Yangelion. But the thing is, like, Lidlod's like so vulnerable to removal, I don't think it's gonna end up being that good. It might still see play. I think one of the main issues I have with this card is that 4 stars is really expensive for a card that doesn't always get value. Um, yeah, because like the turn you play it, it's not gonna get value, and then it might get value the next turn you play it if your opponent doesn't already have removal. But yeah, you can make. I guess you can also, like obviously the main thing you would think about is attaching Lidlod to big creatures, to protect them from battle. But I think that might not be the best use of this card because usually big creatures already are gonna require your opponent to use removal generally. So maybe we'll see Lidlod be played on smaller creatures to make like miniature FaceTimes and Adatroxes, but like in Sindian. I don't know. It's kind of weird because I feel like it's like a lot of investment for something that doesn't always get value and isn't like consistently very strong. So I don't know. It's something interesting. I like the art a lot. It's a really good design. And thematically, I like the effect as well. I just don't know if it's gonna be super popular. Basically, the only thing I could see happening is if that like Polysium and Shios, um, if they end up not playing a lot of removal, and then like some cards get banned, like G Crash or whatever, and Belfam or something, then like maybe this could be good if the game becomes more battle focused in some matchups. That's like the only time I see this scene played. Next we have I think Zenchi's next, right? Yeah. Next we have Zenchi, the assigner. Can I find a better? No, that's actually fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Once per turn, you can kill one-handed creature to kill one zone resource attachment. That's bad. You'll probably never do that. And then, or if you kill a handed Sindian creature, you can kill one zone creature instead. That's slightly better. Going 1 for 1 is fine. I think the main issue with Zenshi is that it has really the stats are like really bad. For example, if you compare this to Pelfam, Pelfam is also 7 star. Pelfam also removes a creature from the field. It doesn't kill, it bounces, but like it's still removal. Pelfam has no extra cost on top, and Pelfam also has way better stats. Zenshi 380 health is is like enough that small creatures aren't going to kill this thing. But it's not. But like, there's a lot of creatures that with wonder attack. Like we think about Meltalon, Queen, Gatamic, half of the Polysium creatures. Like it's not like a very good wall, so you probably won't see this on the field for more than 1 turn, and it doesn't really even force removal. And then 200 power kills like nothing. Doesn't even kill Atrox. Yeah, it's like pretty bad. 580 stat total is like what you'd expect from like a 6 star effect creature. Like yeah. Yeah, like compared to Pelfam, who's like way stronger and has 630 total stats. Yeah, it seems really bad. It's just like too expensive. The stats aren't good enough. It's a 1 for 1. A 1 for 1 is like it's okay, but it's like too fair almost. That's how I feel this card. It's like too fair. Like it doesn't feel like you actually get a whole lot of value out of it. So I don't know. I'm not super impressed with this. 7 star means you can Warple Jetpack it with Ozone stuff, but yeah. Spear, I think is my favorite card from this reveal. Or at least it's the most interesting card. Um, it gains stars whenever or gains stats whenever a creature is cosplayed, which can kind of end up in a lot of interesting scenarios. For example, I'm gonna run you through one because it's like a really cool one, I think. If you play Spear for 2 stars and you play Stalius for 9 stars, then Spear will gain 180 power and health, which will bring it to 220. And then if you pass your opponent's turn, there's a couple common things that your opponent wants to do. Usually the opponent wants to remove Stalius without proccing the kill effect. And the most common ways to do this are Pelfam, obviously, for Sale Sign's very strong, and Gehenna. And for Sale Sign and Gehenna will still work. You can just play them and then... for Sale Sign and Gehenna, for Sale Sign you can just play and it kind of beats the board easily. You buy Stalius and you kill Spirit Stalius. Gehenna grabs Stalius, but then Spirit walls out Gehenna, which is pretty okay. And then Pelfam is interesting because your opponent can play Pelfam, and then it will bounce your Stalius to your hand, which is bad for you. But then Spirit will gain 140 stats, which brings him to 360, which will actually wall out the Pelfam, which is really interesting. So you can kind of... It's interesting in the sense that you can de-incentivize like certain answers that your opponent might usually do by playing Spirit. Like they might still do it just because it's worth, but then now you have 360 that they either need to play removal again, even they have to now play removal against or buy another really big creature. And if they buy another really big creature, then you're gonna go even higher, and it's hard to naturally beat over Spirit. Like they play another 8-star or whatever. So yeah, I think this card's really interesting. I think it can make situations that are kind of hard to deal with. And in Sindian especially, because like if you have Stalius and Spirit, then and your opponent tries to play KO to kill Stalius, then they have to deal with Spirit now. And if it's at like 220 or 200 or whatever, then it's hard for them to play 4-star to attack over it because the 4-star will just boost Spirit even more, and they need to play like a bigger creature. So yeah, Spirit I think can create some really interesting situations that make it hard for the opponent to break your board, as long as they don't have certain cards. But yeah, I think the main issue is that you need to have you need to have a full like 2-zone board. And then you also need to have 11 stars, like 10, 11 stars to actually make a good play with Spirit. And even though it does make it hard for your opponent to play certain answers, a lot of the answers are still pretty simple. For example, like G-Crash still just beats it, First Sale Sign still just beats it, Gehenna kind of beats it. I mean, it beats it, but it's like not as good as like without Spirit, you know? Beast, if you attack, like that still beats it. But yeah, it just kind of can create interesting situations, and I think because of that, it might see play maybe as a 1-of or something, just like when you're in the late game or the mid game, and like you can see like maybe you have star advantage and your opponent can't. You can see that your opponent can't play for Sale Sign or something, so you just like throw this thing out. I don't know. I think it might be good in some matchups. It's kind of hard. It feels a little bit too niche though, maybe. But yeah, I could see this. It is a really cool card, and I could see it being played. I'm stuttering so much in this video. But yeah, I could see it being played. It's very interesting. I don't know if it's consistently good enough to be like meta relevant. Okay, and then let's talk about this one. So Army of Justice, U ranks and D ranks. This card is quite good. 440, 400 is a super relevant stat line. 440 attacks over basically everything in the game besides like Stalius, Omnius, maybe a couple other things. And 400 health is also very strong. Forces your opponent to... it walls out like Meltalon, Gitamaki, Queen, all those things. So very strong stat line, obviously. The fact that it's a Sindian creature doesn't really matter much. Sindian creatures already not that good. Sindian combiners, the effect comes up even less with them. So that doesn't matter too much. And then The search effect is very strong. There are a lot of 3-star and lower Sindian Barrow Gaia's creatures that are very strong. Think about like Orbov, Atatrox, Knopf. Like lots of decks have very strong creatures in that kind of pool. So a very good search effect. And also it means that usually combiners are like a -1 because you pay 2 cards to play 1 creature. But since you're getting a search out of it, it's like pretty even on card advantage, which is good. Um, and then when it dies, you get another 220, 200, so it kind of even goes plus in like this weird kind of way. And 200, 220, 200 is a pretty strong creature as well. So yeah. This card is pretty good and all around like strong when it's on the field. The issue is it's a combiner, obviously. That's the main issue. Combiners, they just take up a lot of deck space. So like if you want to run, you can just run like 1 copy of each of these and be fine. You could run like this and Telepathic Touch and Combine Harvester and invest it into a little bit more. I think decks like Barrow decks, they already have a lot of good cards, so they probably won't be as willing to sacrifice so much space for a combiner like this. But like Sindian and Gaia's decks, I could see playing this. Could be helpful for them. Seems like a pretty strong card. I'm not a fan of combiners usually. This one's pretty cool. I wouldn't be surprised if this all play in the next format. 2-star Temple. Okay, so add 1 Galaxy 2-star Sindian creature to your hand. There are like 3 that come to mind. Obviously, this searches out Spear, which is okay. Searches out Orbov, which is also a pretty good card, but that's been nerfed, obviously because of hard ones per game. And then also Gi. Gi is probably another big one. There are already ways to search out Gi. Obviously, you have Lost Probe, you have Gerpelgren, but I think 2-star Temple is like just a better option than both of those. And so maybe we'll see Gatomics played a little bit more since they will be a little bit more consistent. I still think they kind of struggle just because they have to rely on Wasteland to recur Gi, or they have to rely on Go, which is not a very good card. Maybe you see more Atomic packages get played, like you just see 2-star Temple, Gi, and like Goka or Gork or whatever. Because those are pretty strong cards, Goka and Gork. Obviously, Gork able to recur activators, and Goka just a good removal card. Atomic Gi is pretty good too, so maybe you'll see that kind of package played. Has like, it's pretty versatile recursion, very unique recursion effect, very generic removal effect. Atomic Gi is just a very strong creature. So yeah, I could see this getting played in like maybe some kind of Gi deck or Gi package. It's a little bit toned down, but I don't think it's gonna be super relevant. I think this might be a sideboard card also. If you're a control deck and you're playing against a more aggressive deck like Bugs or what have you, being able to more consistently access Orbov is also quite strong, because Orbov can shut down decks like that pretty heavily if it comes out early enough. So those are probably like the main things I'd see this card for, is like Orbov or Gi. We'll see how it works out. Could be cool. Last one is Lost. I think it's second to last one is Lost Souls. So you get free play 2 killed creatures from different planets. Their power and health become 50. Any abilities they haven't, and then they lose their abilities. This card's interesting. The main things that come to mind are cards that obviously have effects that are tied to their name. So Drangles, really any of the elites. What's the other card? Serpent and Rowdy, by extension, like Serpent and Rowdy. Gaia's cards, being able to bring back any Gaia's creature and like search for another one seems pretty good as well. Really, any card that like wants to stall, like a burn deck or something, having a card that trades 1 card for 2 chump blockers is quite strong, I think. This card has like a pretty versatile selection of like things that are like maybe pretty good. So and this card will only get stronger, obviously, as there's like more things that pop up that benefit from this. It seems pretty solid. It's a very cool card. I really like the motion and like the really rare background. It's quite good. So yeah, solid really rare slot. Would not be surprised if this saw play. Will only get better with time. Very cool card. Glad it is included. Don't have a lot to say about it otherwise though. Canon Shrine. This one's interesting. It's basically forces your opponent to attack a creature on your planet. The main application that Zach talks about in this video is playing a Sindian creature, playing a smaller Sindian creature, and then attaching Canon Shrine to the smaller Sindian creature so that your opponent cannot attack, because Shrine makes them attack the smaller creature, Sindian makes them attack the bigger creature. And I think that's pretty interesting. It's kind of like a Sindian lock kind of thing that forces removal. I don't know if it's gonna be super strong. Obviously, a lot of decks play removal. But yeah, being able to, I think the main thing that the card is going to benefit from is that you're going to be able to play like a small board, like ACAB Etch, the Utopian guys, and then you can attach Canon Shrine to Etch, and then that either stalls your opponent out, so you gain more value off of Etch, or they are eventually forced to just play removal on your little guys. You can do a similar thing with like Bagonk and another small guy, like Bagonk or Bob, throw them down. Your opponent has to board clear, remove one of them, or yeah, it has to use some kind of removal and waste it on the small creatures. So if you're able to use Canon Shrine to make your opponent like waste removal on small creatures, that way they have less options when dealing with your big creatures. I think you could get a lot of value out of this potentially. Or just creating like end game lock states where your opponent can't really do anything is also probably pretty good. It being -1 is kind of rough, but maybe it's fine if you get a lot of value off of it. It's pretty interesting. It also has applications outside of Sindian, obviously. If you're playing Cranchon and something, like if you play Cranchon Throngobork, you can attach it to your Throngobork, and they have to get rid of your Throngobork before they can deal with your Cranchon. There's like interesting things you can do. It seems like a pretty interesting card. We'll see if it gets played a whole lot. But yeah, cool card. And I think that is all of them. So yeah. Overall, I think Sindian still feels a little bit lackluster. I think some things help. Some things in here help a little bit, maybe. I think their main issues still remain, though, where like I think Spear in particular is a good example of what the planet needs more of, and that is like small creatures that benefit from being protected. Spear, obviously, since you have to attack the other creature first, if you play a bigger creature with Spear, then it can create a really awkward situation for your opponent. I think more cards like this would make the game better, probably, or make Sindian better. I mean, I feel like that's the main issue with Sindian, is that like they don't have a lot of strong ways to utilize their planet ability, and they also don't have a lot of what am I thinking? Like, they don't have a lot of like synergistic qualities. A lot of their cards are good independently. Like Tonix is very strong, Orbov is very strong, Shocklefly is quite good, Yangelion's quite good, ACAB and Etch are okay, Stalius is obviously quite strong, Ozo is really strong. Like, those cards are all really good, but they kind of fail to create a synergistic strategy with each other. Like, there's not like, I don't know, like why would I play Ozo? I don't know. It feels like it's hard to create a game plan with them. Yeah. So it's like the main things. I also think, like, I don't know why, but I feel like the deck just like the planet just like lacks damage. I think I like the way that Zach is going to try to take this planet. I think he talks about how he wants it to it to focus on board presence and maintaining like these strong boards, which I think is interesting. And I can see that with Lidlot. I can see that with Spear. This kind of like theme of like having wide boards that with the potential for growth, like Spear and Tonix kind of fill that similar niche. And then being able to like protect and grow that board is like interesting, and it's a cool idea. And I think if Zach continues to push it, I think it could be really cool. I think he needs more cards like Spear that help with this. Yeah, I think that we need more other cards. I wonder what else am I thinking of? Stuff like Spear. I don't know. Spear's so cool. Make more Spears. But yeah, it's a tough planet to work with. Definitely. I think the design space that it can kind of add to the game is super interesting, and I hope that Zach continues to work on it. and make cards as inspired as Spear. And I'm kind of rambling, so I think that's just going to be it. That was my Sindian review. If you like the video, comment down below what you thought about the cards. This video is probably long because I like talking about Sindian cards. Sindian's very cool. Um, we do lots of stuff on this channel, deck profiles, pack openings, reviews, analysis, games, everything. So make sure to subscribe if I didn't already say that. Again, links description down below. Please join the Discord. The Discord's the best place ever. And see you later.